Test, test, test.
McCrary here. Wanted to say thank you for joining us for the Fall Best Practice Compliance Call. We appreciate your time today. Wanted to start out and just let you know that the team here works very hard to keep you informed about the regulatory environment and, most importantly, to pass along best practices that will help you protect your business. As a firm, we are doing extremely well. You, our partners, have grown revenues at an absolutely amazing rate. For the period of January 1st through August 31st of this year, you've grown revenues on average of 91% per month. It's absolutely amazing. I think it's a testament to your hard work as well as the practice management resources that the firm has been engaged with the different teams on. I also wanted to take a minute and acknowledge our team and those of you that have supported us in voting and winning a number of industry awards. In 2017, Peak was awarded runner-up in Investment Advisor's Broker-Dealer of the Year. We also received very high marks in a number of categories with Wealth Management Magazine. Most importantly, we were ranked #1 for advisor retention. In 2018, we were runner-up again for Broker-Dealer of the Year. We were also featured in an article, the BD of the Year issue, where we highlighted the Peak Performance Series. I want to say congratulations to Matt Myers and the compliance team for achieving the #1 spot for compliance in Wealth Management's Broker-Dealer Report Card. We've received a ton of inquiries as a result from prospective advisors after the magazine was released. And most recently, a big thank you to our partner Dan Neiman for accepting Wealth Management's award for the best practice solution. He was in New York City last week to receive the award, and again, this is in recognition of the Peak Performance Series. I wanted to recognize Regina Rudnick and Kelsey McCool for the wonderful job they've done with practice management as well as marketing. You may have seen their work on the most recent cover of Investment Advisor magazine. They did an amazing job. I would also encourage you to check out the new public-facing website that they built. Kudos to them for some beautiful work. I would encourage you to utilize the recognition of these awards with your current and prospective clients. It's a testament to the credibility and success of Peak in the marketplace, and I think it'll go a long way in attracting new clients to your practice. Our main goal is to provide you with the highest level of personal service as well as assisting you in growing your business. I would ask that each of you take a minute to visit the Peak Reps portal. We're continually adding content and improving the site. There you will find a list of the many departments that we've created in order to assist you in building additional lines of business as well as marketing and improving your practice and efficiencies. These are proven strategies that are being brought to you by our top producers, and these wonderful men and women are committed to helping you grow your business. So I would encourage you to reach out to them if there's a particular area where you could use assistance. They're here to help. And again, this is just a testament to the unique culture that we have of networking and collaborating. Thank you again for your time today. We value your partnership. And now I will turn it over to our always entertaining Chief Compliance Officer, Mr. Myers.
Well, thank you, Glenn. That's a very interesting intro. Anyways, I also want to congratulate everybody on the awards. There's been a lot of work going on, and it's not just in the home office, it's out there in the field. And you folks deserve some of this award as much as the corporation does, so we appreciate that. Along the lines of what Glenn just said about providing personal service to the representatives, I need everybody to know that these best practice calls are just for that. We need you to know what it is that we can do for you to help you do what you do. All right, so that was a whole lot of words, but we're here to help, okay? Two things you normally don't want to hear is you don't want to hear somebody from the IRS saying, hi, I'm here to help. Or normally you don't want to have someone knock on your door and say, hi, I'm from the home office, I'm here to help. That usually is an oxymoron. However, we're doing our best to help you out, and that's the only way that we can all grow. What we'd like to do, there's been a lot of questions recently regarding social media, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, websites, all those kind of things. And we want everybody to be able to take advantage of these marketing opportunities. But we also want to make sure that we do it in a very compliant way. So I have amassed a group of experts as best I could. So we have with us today both Wyatt Hamilton and Rob Layton, going to help us go through some of the aspects of social media. And what I'm going to ask is that we're not going to open up for questions as usual because of the fact there will be a lot of questions, and we really don't want to keep you here all afternoon. So as you're listening to this presentation, please write down your questions and feel free to email Wyatt or Rob or myself or Tim regarding some of these topics we're going to discuss today. So I'd like to start off with a general discussion on social media and what is the home office doing to help you. Wyatt, could you help us out with that, please?
Yeah, of course. Good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to start by saying I'm sure most of you have seen in the news Facebook and a lot of other social media have been going through the gauntlet, through the government gauntlet. And Facebook has actually done a ton of updates to their API as well as their privacy policies. So if you hear anything from me in the next couple of weeks, it's because the tracking through our compliance system has been cut off and needs to be re-added because of those changes. And that's just one thing. I'm going to do a full social media audit as well. So if you hear from me and it's not Facebook, it's because we're trying to make sure that we're keeping track of everything we need to keep track of. And as for websites, for social media, we're going to be adding the ability for you to link a disclosure to our public page. Everybody who has their own DBA, whether it's you're with the BD, an RAA, and a DBA, or just one of the three, or two of the three, whatever the case may be, we're going to give you your own disclosure page. That way you don't have a wall of text on your Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. This is going to be rolling out in the next 2 to 4 weeks. This is for only if you do not have your own website. If you have your own website, we're going to allow you to link that website on your social media pages. So that's the only disclosures you'll need.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So let's, if anybody has any questions about that, obviously reach out to Wyatt afterwards. The other thing that we're really concerned about is the use of the websites, because as you know, as an independent broker-dealer, we don't necessarily lock you into specific providers for doing your website. So that causes it gives you some flexibility, but it causes some problems for our friend Rob here as he's trying to surveil and do the advertising review for the websites. Rob, what can you tell us about website review? What would you like the people to know?
So good afternoon. For websites, as Matt said, we don't require you to use any certain provider. However, there are some providers that have a back end that compliance people can go into. They can see the changes, any changes that you make, and we can approve them before going live. That makes it very simple for us and also very simple for you because we don't have to print out pages and submit them. Normally when you try to print out the pages, they don't come out quite right. I may have to come back and say, I can't see the whole website. You have to print it out again. With that, I also want to remind you, if you use a provider that does not submit to compliance, you need to make sure that any changes are approved prior to going live. So, if you make some minor wording on a page, you need to submit that for approval before it's live on the website. We do have a few companies that we know of that do submit to compliance. One, and they've been around for a long time, is Emerald. Another one is Advisor Websites, and a third one is Alta Street. My understanding is Alta Street is still building out their compliance tool, but that should be ready soon. So, you know, if you can use one of those type of sites, it's going to make life a lot easier for us and a lot easier for you. The other thing that we wanted to talk about is some of you have certain states on the website that list which states you do business in. We've decided to take those off because it just makes it easier for the disclosures in general, and it makes it easier for everyone without having to track all of the websites and which license is current. We don't want anyone to get in trouble if they listing states that they're not currently registered in because they forgot to take it off. As far as disclosures on the websites, those are going to be very similar to what is on like your business card or your letterhead. We do have sample disclosures up on the portal. The one thing to remember, or a few things to remember with websites, is for the member FINRA SIPC, those do need to be hyperlinked to the specific provider, and you do need to have a prominent broker check link for people to check out the advisor.
Okay, Rob, very good. That's good information. And again, anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. The other big issue that comes up, Rob and Wyatt both, is the fact that it's very difficult for people to know on social media, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, something like that, what do they have to have pre-approved, and what do we basically just surveil and look at, you know, kind of after the fact. It's very difficult. So I think what we want to do, and I think what we're going to do, is we're going to try to put together best practice for social media and actually have it available on the rep portal. You know, there's certain things depending on what you're talking about, whether we really need to pre-approve or simply surveil. Now, having said that, unfortunately, Tim is still not able to be with us. He's on another call, but I want to talk about surveillance a little bit, because we do surveil emails, websites, Facebook, Twitter, all those things through our third-party Arado. So as representatives, as individuals, you need to know that anything that goes through the email that is attached to your peak or your approved email that is your business email, every single one of those emails is viewable and surveillable through the home office. I want to caution everyone again about maybe putting some personal things on your work email, because they are surveillable. They're available to the people in the compliance department. So you just want to be kind of leery of that, especially if you want to say something negative about the compliance department. Not that could possibly ever happen twice. So what I just want to make sure that you understand that we do see these things. Secondly, most importantly, our friends at FINRA take an extremely dim view of, matter of fact, what I'm trying to say here is don't do this. Okay, FINRA takes an extremely dim view of putting anything business related on your personal emails. Now, that said, we do have ways of surveilling some of those things also. Sometimes you don't even realize it just because you forward something, things like that. So you have to be very, very careful about your whole email situations. And if anybody has any questions regarding that, you can really contact me or Tim. And Wyatt also understands the surveillance, the process. Okay, so what we do, just so you know, is that we have a lexicon of certain words that will automatically flag whether it's in your Facebook post, a Twitter, whatever you're using. If you use a flagged word, it will then have to be surveilled, which we surveil approximately 26,000 emails every month. 26,000 emails every month. So, I mean, that's the volume. Of those, the flagged words will be almost 50%. That's a lot of time that we spend. So you can do us a real favor, especially the one word that kicks up all the time is sure thing. Up in the Northeast, we use sure thing as a long way to say, yep. So I just so you don't use that, because yep's not flagged, yes is not flagged, but sure thing is. And sure enough, somebody's going to use that before the end of the day today, and I'll just about guarantee it. Oh wait, we can't use guarantee either. Okay. See how easy it is, though, to fall into that trap just in normal conversation. Trap's probably another word that wouldn't help. But just be careful of what you're saying. Also, be aware that other people are reading these. Now, by other people, I'm talking about regulatory organizations. We had a situation during our last cycle examination where FINRA actually went out and got copies of cell phone records. So be careful, because you do know that as of this time, texting for business purposes is strictly prohibited. We are trying to find a way to be able to surveil that without being overly intrusive, but those two things are not necessarily mutually exclusive. So we're doing our best to help you out with that, but do not text for business purposes. If a business client texts you, you need to not respond to that text. You need to call them back and say, don't do that, or please call me, something to that effect. All right, well, we're moving right along. Regarding emails and surveillance, gentlemen, do you have anything you'd like to add at this point? I kind of dominated that, I'm sorry.
I do have one thing to mention. We updated our annual rep attestation to include the fact that if you do have a personal social media account and you want to start using it for business, it's imperative that you disclose it to us, because if you start using it and we don't know, then you're putting yourself at risk as well as the firm, and we all know we all want to be safe and productive here and not have, you know, a regulatory body barking up our tree all the time. Excellent point. Anytime there's a change, even if you don't think it needs to be recorded, ask us. We'll tell you. We had this issue a couple of years ago. Well, I shouldn't say us. The industry had an issue a couple of years ago when FINRA decided they were going to go back 222 years and check all the bad debts, all the financial stuff that was available through the internet now, and we got into a whole bunch of people that had stupid little liens and things like that. So if anything comes up at all that you don't know whether it needs to be reported, whether it needs to be recorded, or whether you need to know it to do anything about it, just give us a call. Just give us a call. We'll be more than happy to point you in the right direction, because it's much easier to do it correctly than it is to fix it. So let's stay on top of things. All right, now that was also a perfect segue. Annual attestations. Anybody that has been with the broker-dealer prior to January 1st of 2018 needs to do their 2018 attestation. That will be made available on the web portal, or excuse me, on the rep portal during the month of October. These all have to be completed and back to the compliance department prior to the end of October. There's a lot of things coming up in October, so we need to get some things out in the open right now. We're obviously going to be dealing with registration fees, making sure our registrations are all set for next year. So you're going to be seeing a lot of things from the compliance department and from the home office, and we apologize for that, but it's the nature of the beast. We have to go through it every year. Now, the one thing that we did do this year, which will take away from that angst for most people, is that during our conference back in February, late February, early March, those of you that attended that here in Jupiter,
we actually did all the firm element training in the course of the presentations. And those of you that stayed awake will probably even remember some of them. What we need, though, is the people that had joined the firm since the first of the year, or people who could not make the firm element presentations in Jupyter. Those presentations are still on the web, and we need you to go through the PowerPoints and fill out the attestation, and that has to be done prior to December 15th. So if anybody has any questions on whether or not they still need their firm element, please reach out. We do have a list of the people that were there, and the people that were there received their certificates, including their AML training, which will be good until March 1st of next year. That said, this year we're having our conference a little later in the year. I don't know the exact date, but we will be providing all, I repeat, all of the firm element classes that you need at the annual meeting, the annual conference. So if you would be so kind as to maybe use that as another reason to come down and visit us down here in beautiful Florida in the springtime, we would really appreciate that. The more people that we can get to do this on a face-to-face level, it gets you familiar with the compliance staff, and it gets the compliance staff familiar with you as an individual, and that's very important to us. So we need to be able to excuse me, have that face-to-face contact, and then it's much easier to ask questions, and we will provide everything that you need during that conference. So anyone who has joined the firm, well, anyone who didn't make the conference and has not been online to do the firm element training, you need to do that prior to December 15th, and what am I going to say? Oh, and do the attestations. I'm sorry. So if you have questions about that, let me know. If you're not sure whether or not you completed all the training or not, you can get a hold of Tim. We have that list, and we want to make sure that gets done. Let me see. What else do I have? Oh, one quick note about your trusted contact forms. You know, the rule went into effect last year about having to potentially have a trusted contact person on each one of your accounts, or for each one of your clients, I should say. And there's a form that's attached now to your AIF when you talk with a client for the first time. But we're also suggesting that as you do your meetings with your clients, your reviews and whatnot, that you pose the question to them about the trusted contact form. I think we're missing the boat here in a lot of cases. I still see a lot of forms come through with no on them. You're opening yourself up for some issues if you don't have other people that you can talk to. And by the time sometimes that we start to realize that maybe a client is diminishing a little bit, sometimes it's too late to get these things done. So you need to really have a good heart-to-heart with your clients about why they should sign the trusted contact form. One thing I want to point out, I had this discussion with my mom, and I realized that maybe other people were drawing the wrong assumption about this form. This form only allows the representative to talk to someone else regarding the welfare, the well-being, and the stability, if you will, of the person giving them the authority. Under no circumstances does it give that person the right to see any of the client information, make any decisions regarding the client information, or they cannot do trades, they cannot get money out. We need to know the difference between being a power of attorney and a trusted contact. If anybody has any questions about that, please call me, because I think it's going to be important that this become a normal part of your business to do that. It's not always a pleasant thing to talk about with a client. Nobody wants to think that they're going to have a problem. The truth is, problems happen. If they didn't, nobody'd buy life insurance, nobody'd buy long-term care. I mean, the reality is that there's a better chance something will happen at some point than something won't. I know that sounds pessimistic, but from a realistic aspect, as the representatives, you want to be on top of that so that you're not drawn into the, you know, they can't see my hand gestures, can they? That's probably wasted energy.
It's the entertainment part.
It's the entertainment part. Okay, sorry. But you don't want to get drawn in on a negative part to this. I mean, you're doing your best for your clients, so do your best for your clients. Don't allow them to not have the proper coverage, whether that means, you know, in their investment plan, in their insurance plan, or in their personal lives. That's all I'm going to say about that. I really think people need to refocus on that. So we're moving right along. Two more things. On December 13th is going to be the annual mandatory compliance meeting. So what does that mean? That means that it's going to be a little longer presentation. It has to be a minimum of 1 hour. We should be able to take care of that. The other thing is that we need to have attestations from everybody that they have either listened in person or they have gone to the website and gone through the presentation. So we'll have PowerPoint presentations. We'll have some singing and dancing. Oh no, wait, that's the other thing. We'll have some. We'll also have codes. Some of you are familiar with the fact that we do the code system where throughout the presentation, which is not going to be on the original slides that you're seeing, we will throw out a code so that you have to put the code on your end at your attestation sheet so that we know that you are paying attention. So we are going to do that. That will be December 13th, because I know that usually by December 15th, everybody's off for the year. So we're going to get that out of the way, and we'll do that at between 4 and 5 p.m. Eastern, and hopefully we'll be able to keep it to 1 hour. And the last thing I have, wait a minute, before I get to that, gentlemen around the table, anything you want to add or anything you'd like to talk about that we haven't talked about, or that we did talk about, you might want to help me clarify?
I just have social media. I mean, we don't want to overly burden that, but you know, if you can submit something for approval ahead of time, then that would be the best way to do it, to make sure that there's no issues. You know, certainly things like, you know, invitations to events or something to go on social media should go ahead of time. Other things, it may not be possible, but it's definitely best practice to submit them ahead of time if possible.
Okay, that's very good. We're here as a resource. I know that the people in Buffalo understand that because they use it on the radio station up there all the time. You have to look at the back office as your partner, and we're here as a resource. Don't feel bad about calling us. That's what we're here for. Don't feel bad about sending an email. That's what we're here for. We will do our best to get back to everybody in order, or in order of importance of the question. Sometimes we may have to say, look, this is something we really have to take care of. But we do our best, and it's not always easy. You know, we're getting more and more reps all the time, and thank goodness we're onboarding new reps all the time. We're very busy down here, and that's the way we like it. That's not an excuse. I'm just telling you the facts of life. We're busy. We will get back to you, and feel free to call a second time if you don't think we're getting back to you quick enough, because I'm going to be very honest with you, which I always am. Sometimes things fall through the cracks. Everybody here is human, just like people out there. And when we reach out to you and say, hey, you know, this doesn't look right, and you say, oh gosh, that's my mistake. Okay, guess what? We do that here every now and then too. But we're here to help each other through that, and that's why we have checks and balances. The last thing I want to talk about is weekly activity logs. We talked about this during the last best practice call. We've done a subsequent audit, and we found that there are still people who are behind on that. It will be very shortly when individuals who are involved will be getting a notice from me saying that they have X amount of time to get these walls caught up, or quite frankly, commissions will be suspended. This is something that came up in our branch office exam, in our FINRA office exam that was done in 2017. Thank goodness it wasn't revisited in 2018 because we still have a couple of holes, but we're going to get those fixed. And if I can't get your attention by asking for your help, we're going to lock your wallet until we get those done. I hate to be that way, but this is just what we have to do. So how to leave on a positive note, right? Okay, but seriously, we're here to help. I know that doesn't always sound like it, but we're here for the best of everyone. Please feel free to reach out, and I really, really appreciate you taking this time because I know there's other things that you would probably prefer to be doing right now. Everybody just have a great week.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.